me is when the little girl wants the unicorn toy, and she wants her dad, in quotes, the evil spy guy, to win it for her.
Right.
And then when he does win it, she gets it, and she's like, she shakes it, and she's like, it's so fluffy, I could die! and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the best line ever. And they used it in this, but she didn't say fluffy, she just said, it's so cute, I could die! and for Mantis to say it, it was a very cute line, and I was like, oh, I liked it. I don't know if she was talking about Baby Groot. I kind of don't remember what she was talking about at the time, but it was something that she was looking at, and everybody else was there, so I'm always thinking it was Baby Groot. But it was a good line.
I think so. And kind of going back to the Mantis and Drax relationship that we heavily talked about was I loved the scene where Mantis looks over at Rocket and she says to Drax, "Can I pet your puppy?" And literally, first thing I just started busting out laughing, and Drax is just like, "Yeah, sure." She goes to pet him, and he just bites her, and he's just laughing. It's like that's what we call a practical joke. Ha ha ha! I'm just like,
and then she laughs too. She's like, "Oh, it's funny." Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, she's perfect. They're perfect for each other. He's just so awful, and she just is like, oh, okay, that's how things are.
And just Mantis's powers of being able to feel feelings was just. That was another just great scene that they had where, again, from the trailer, you saw, of course, her feeling Peter Grill, where she says, he feels sexual love for Gamora, and of course she's of course blushing, even though she's green, she's blushing somehow. And of course there's Drax just in the middle of this, just laughing his ass off, just saying, he just told your deepest, darkest secret. You must be so embarrassed. Oh, do me. And then she just starts laughing as soon as she touches Drax. And it's not even any hesitation. It goes right for Gamora, and of course Gamora's just like, "You touch me, and I will break your arm off." she's like, "Okay then." But that was another thing I wanted to talk about. The relationship between Gamora and Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, definitely was more developed in this movie, which kind of I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, but it was kind of. A little more surprising just to see how much more in-depth that they got with it, because I thought that they were going to focus more on the Peter Quill ego story, but they definitely did tie in a bit of the Gamora and Star-Lord kind of, unspoken love deal that was, of course, always going to remain unspoken, or there was nothing to speak about it, even if it was unspoken, and blah, 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 blah. The reference that she made about David Hasselhoff and the car from Knight Rider. Just, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Oh man, I'm trying to remember because I know she didn't say David Hasselhoff. I'm trying to remember what was it that she called him. It was like David Hasselhoff or something like that. I can't remember exactly
I don't remember the exact thing she said, but I thought that was hilarious how they threw David Hasselhoff in there. And he rapped at the end of the movie, by the way. Like, there was a David Hasselhoff rap about Guardians of the Galaxy, and it just made sense since if they were trying to, be a part of the 80s, and he was a huge part of it, so.
Yeah, it was just crazy, and I want to put this as like a side note. I still find it just amazing that an advanced alien race can, man these kind of like advanced weaponries and stuff like that, but when it comes to like a little CD player or something like that, they're just like, what the hell is this thing? It's like, well, you're really showing your intelligence, you know that right now? But anyway, moving on from that, again, they just did such an amazing job of just continuing this story, and at the end, you definitely see there being a bit more of a connection between, Star-Lord and Gamora, which I absolutely loved. It was just kind of one of those things where, back in when I was in high school, there was always, Team Edward versus Team Jacob and blah, blah, blah. I'm all for Team Star-Lord and Gamora right now. It's just like, I want these two to be together. I want that. They are just perfect for each other. Just keep this going. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in Volume 3, and maybe there's going to be a little bit more of a love connection. I want that. I want that so much right now. They're showing more and more them getting closer, and it's like, okay, there's going to be some kind of big blow-off. I know that. But at the same time, I want these two together. I just love it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a huge, like, oh my gosh, please be together. It's not kind of, they're just kind of destined to be together to me. They don't have a love triangle for me to be that excited about. So, I mean, yay for them. I hope they get together, and they should get together. But I'm more interested in, like, seeing the relationships blossom throughout the team. I wonder if they'll ever give, like, Rocket a little, like, love relationship, because they decided to give Drax a little more story. I mean, I don't know if Groot could. It would kind of be funny if they found a tree and then they just got up the tree. But yeah, I think Rocket definitely has a personality and stuff, and it would be interesting to see if this little raccoon type of thing has love in him. Who knows? But yeah, I guess in general, what else have we not talked about? I guess we could just...
Well, we could talk about the amount of star power that they put into this movie. I mean, they had Sylvester Stallone make an appearance, which shocked me immensely. I'm just like, oh my god, they put him in here. I love it. And actually, one of the funny things was one of the cutscenes is Stallone with his team, and my co-host Max, he was just saying, like, I would love to see a Looters of the Galaxy spin-off of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm just kind of like, that actually would be kind of funny. I would actually watch that movie, just seeing Sylvester Stallone and his team just doing some crazy antics of just stealing stuff and doing it for their own good. Also, major preview for Volume 3, of course, them hinting at Adam the Warlock, I believe was his name. And literally what's so funny is that as soon as the I'm trying to remember the name of the person. It was like the Sovereign Being or whatever her name was.
I think, yeah, the Sovereign, the really gold lady.
Yeah.
They're all gold, but...
Yeah. And I do love to say that I do love the scene that they have where they have their little spaceships, and it was basically like this giant arcade, and I'm literally thinking to myself, you know what, this is like an everyday arcade deal for us here in America, where we just got all these people, and all these people are just crowding around thinking like, oh, he's going to get the high score, and he gets blown up, and it's just like, you disappoint us, man, and they all just walk away. It's like, totally relatable. That is awesome. Excuse me. But going back to the Adam the Warlock deal, literally, I looked over at my co-host Max, and he was just dumbfounded. He literally almost like took like all of his breath in, and he didn't exhale. And the first thing I said was, Max, breathe. He finally did, and I was like, thank God. And he explained like everything. I'm just like, okay, I'm looking forward to Volume 3 right now. It just looks amazing. The only other thing to talk about is that they definitely endorsed this, but I kind of want to really touch base on this about the whole Stan Lee character that seems like, he's appearing everywhere. Him being suggested as, I know I'm going to get this name wrong, so please, by all means, save the hate of, is it Yatu the Watcher, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, again, they explain, how he's just basically that guy who's making sure that everything's running smoothly, everything's running well, and the way that they really connected it just made a lot of sense. I'm like, wow, Stan Lee is a character in his own movie, and he's a big part of it somehow. Totally okay with this. And plus, it's Stan Lee, so, I have no complaints about that.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. I was going to say, judging by the star power that they put in on the Ravengers squad and the fact that they allowed us to see more of the Ravengers and kind of their code and their honor and what they do, I haven't heard any announcements, but I could definitely see them doing something big with the Ravengers and breaking off. I don't really know much about the Ravengers or Guardians of the Galaxy comic book wise, but I mean, they had a few other stars that I recognized in that meeting room with Sylvester Stallone and the other leaders of the Ravenger ships and stuff like that. So I think that could definitely be something not even like separate from Volume 3, but they'll probably be a big part of Volume 3 just because we haven't heard anything else, so I guess they have to be. But I could definitely see that being something. And yeah, Stanley's character confused me a little bit, but now that I hear that he's supposed to be an actual person in the comic book instead of just his usual cameo, I guess that would make more sense.
Well, it's better than, him being a I'm trying to remember the exact quote that they have. I'm reading this off of ScreenRant.com, where they endorse the whole cameo fan theory of of him, playing everything from a Hugh Hefner lookalike to a Xandarian prevert, as Rocket called him. It's one of those things where it's like, well, I like this theory better than him just being a prevert. So, in all honesty, like I said, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I can't think of anything else to mention because I think we hit everything on the head, from the relationships to the story, everything that just went down with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Just, again, holy cow, this movie, this was one of those movies that, again, just drains you immensely because for me, I think I'm still trying to get all the bodily fluids put back in my body from all the crying that I did during that movie. It just was, it was fantastic. I've been using the phrase astronomically phenomenal. That's a great way to put this movie. It just is that well done. Props to Marvel for, again, putting a huge effort into this movie, and it's going to be a huge payoff. And I'm looking forward to Volume 3. I'm looking forward to Infinity War. It's going to be awesome. So final rating for this movie, I definitely would give it a 5-star rating. It's one of those movies that definitely is going to give, Logan a run for its money as far as, storyline wise. Yondu, Michael Rooker, definitely deserves an Academy Award, a nomination for his role. He played such a bigger role in this one than he did at the last Guardians of the Galaxy. Just everything about this movie definitely stood out, and it definitely is probably going to be one of the high-up movies that is going to get quite a few Oscar nominations, although I can't really say that too much because we still have quite a bit of the year right now, including saw previews for Spider-Man Homecoming, which looks awesome. Thor Ragnarok, again, looks fantastic. Just so many more movies that we still have to go through at the end of the year. But your final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
Yeah, I have to say it was a really enjoyable movie. I said this on my Facebook page, and I'll say it again. I did enjoy the actual movie better than the first one, and I think that doesn't usually happen for me. So I was really pleasantly surprised. Again, I went back on the music. I'm like, oh, the music wasn't better than the first one, but the overall story and everything and the connections you got to see within the characters was better for me. And I do have to say one of my favorite character in this one was Yondu. Like, Yondu's character broke out, and really, my favorite scene was, like I said, when he was just whistling along and literally bodies were flying throughout the air, just dying. Everybody was dying, and it was just a pleasant, weird way to kill hundreds of people. So I was like, well, this is weird, but it's one of my favorite scenes now, and I don't know why. But yeah, I really liked it. I think it's definitely going to be up there within the probably most highest grossing films of the year. It's probably going to give Beauty and the Beast a run for its money if people continuously come out to see it, because I know it did great in the box office this weekend, and I could see myself going back to see it again. So it's like, darn it. I really want to spend more money on this movie because I want to go see it again and see what I missed, because I always feel like I miss stuff in Marvel movies. Like, you're like, oh, I didn't hear them say it this time because, like, the whole theater was laughing, so you missed a joke or something. So I could definitely see myself going back and watching this one again. I don't foresee it winning any Academy Awards. Maybe visual effects, but sadly they just don't care about superhero movies like that, and they don't really care about action movies like that, because action movies for them isn't as character driven as other movies, and that character driven movies are what the Academy Awards really look for. but I could see some special effects or something in there, or makeup, because, Drax's character spent, like, how many hours? I think he had to spend, like,